I think it's time the Daytona 500 and the Indianapolis 500 have an annual winner's dinner. Hooters finally pays Hendrick Motorsports, and the CW Xfinity booth is going to be remote this weekend. Welcome back to Break Hard. I'm Matt. So every year when the Masters rolls around, the defending winner hosts a dinner down at Augusta National. And every year we see the menu, and every year we dissect it and are like, oh, we'd eat that, we wouldn't eat that. Some years are much better than others. Scotty Scheffler's this year, his menu is pretty reasonable. It's not too fancy, not too casual. I don't know what Scotty's style is. Kind of want to try it, but overall, it is a very good menu. Top to bottom, the shrimp sounds great. The blackened ribeye, I'm all for it. I think all of this is great. A skillet chocolate chip cookie with ice cream. Okay, yeah, Scotty, you win. You got it here. Now, when some other people win it, it's not very good. Not my taste. I'm not the pickiest of eaters, but there's certain things where even I'm like, ugh, I'm not going to touch that. However, it got me thinking. The Daytona 500 and the Indianapolis 500 should host an annual winner's dinner every single year for the guys that are still willing and able to come to the racetrack to celebrate their accomplishment of winning either the Daytona 500 or the Indianapolis 500. I think it builds the event up into an even bigger thing than it already is, and it would let us dissect all of the menus as well. But it being motorsports means that sponsors are probably going to have to get involved. There's always going to have to be some sort of tie-in here. And when you look at it, two-time defending Daytona 500 winner William Byron, I have a feeling his menu would be a little erratic at times. I don't view William Byron as an adult yet. I still view William Byron as a child, and I shouldn't because he's very much an adult. Although I believe that the website still says that he is enrolled in university at Liberty University, in school at Liberty University, which at this point, we're going on like 9 years of him being enrolled there. At some point, are you going to graduate at some point, or is this like a Van Wilder situation, William? We got to figure this out. However, when I went through to make his menu, I really leaned into William Byron being a little bit all over the place and maybe not sure what he likes. Maybe some Flavortown chicken bites, Guy Fieri's finest chicken that he has on offer over there. Colossal nachos, Haas avocados, some cheeses from Wisconsin, tortilla chips flown in from Mexico. Again, the nice stuff that you can get there. For the first course, it's William Byron. So I'm constantly kind of kicking things around here, but he did go to Japan. So maybe he wants some gyro sushi flown in from Japan, but you're only eating whatever the chef makes. And you're going to say, yes, chef, every single time. All right. Yes, chef. Thank you, chef. That's what we're doing here. We're not doing anything else outside of that. For the main course, this is where I think it gets a little bit interesting for William Byron, because when I look at William Byron, he looks like a guy that enjoys a good deal. He likes to save some money. He's not too extravagant. And I think some Costco Wagyu beef would perfectly represent William Byron. It's good. It's a solid quality. It's cost effective for what it is. It's flown in from Japan. At least that's what the label says. And hey, it can be grilled to perfection. Now, what sides is he getting? It's William Byron. So you're getting your Kraft macaronis and cheeses, your Velveeta shells and cheese, probably a salad in there. Grown at Liberty University, after all, because we had to get the sponsor tie-in here. We have another one coming as well, and maybe some other small sides as well. Now for dessert, you have your choice of vanilla, chocolate, or strawberry milkshake, topped with Exalta's FDA pending, patent pending, edible paints, some gold paint sprayed on top of the whipped cream on top of your milkshake, and you can enjoy that as well because, again, we have to have sponsored tie-ins. On the IndyCar side of things, we also have a two-time defending winner over there, that being Joseph Newgarden, and he doesn't have any food sponsors, not that William Byron did either, and Joseph Newgarden is not exactly known for being the most exciting guy out there. He does seem like a guy that sticks to a pretty strict diet. So when I went through and made his, I at least gave him some appealing appetizers. Some Nashville hot chicken bites because he's from Nashville, in case you guys haven't heard. On the other side of things, pork tenderloin sliders because, well, it's an Indiana delicacy and it'll be sourced from the finest of Indiana pigs with their finest state fairs breadcrumbs that will be coated over those pork tenderloins. If you've never had an Indiana pork tenderloin, you owe it to yourself to have one because it's phenomenal. Not the ones at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, though. Doug Bowles, if you're watching this, you need to get better ones because the ones that I've had at IRP, the ones I have at Salem, the ones I have anywhere else in Indiana absolutely trump what is being served right now at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and it's a shame. It's a real shame on top of that. Now, when you get down to his offerings here, for the first course, we have Shell gasoline infused beef. That is beef that is soaked in Shell's finest octane 93, because we have to get our sponsor tie-ins here. And when it's grilled, you're kind of just getting whatever comes out of the grill here, because gasoline with beef is certainly going to create a bit of a fireball. So if you like broiled steaks, this might be the one for you. The main course, unseasoned chicken. That's it. Unseasoned grilled chicken. You're probably going to get some charred broccoli along with that, Pizza Hut kale salad. Nothing that is remotely appealing to you outside of, like, you know, if your options are haggis or unseasoned chicken, you're probably going to pick that. I at least let him grill it. There was a part of my brain that was like, it's probably going to boil it. Just why not? Just make it even more unappealing. For dessert, well, you're getting a protein shake, 25 grams of protein, and then you're getting non-dairy vegan vanilla ice cream in there as well. Just an all-time terrible menu on top of that. Outside of the appetizers, I don't want anything to do with that. Now, other drivers, especially in the NASCAR side of things, could certainly make things interesting, right? Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won. He had Kroger sponsorship. He lives on a ranch, so you know you're getting some fresh farm-to-table beef to go along with that. Probably the finest of private selection offerings there for your sides, and Big K soda to go along with it. Michael McDowell, he's got Love sponsorship, so you're at least set on snacks there, or gas station hot dogs, depending on what you want. He is a big religious guy. I don't know if he can turn all the water into wine, but you're probably at least going to get some wine out of it, which is always a positive as well. You go down the list, there's some other guys that I wish would win a Daytona 500. A Kyle Busch is a perfect example there. He has Cheddar's Kitchen as a sponsor. It's a scratch kitchen. I don't know if things are actually made from scratch, but they really want to hammer that home for you. And then you can wash it down with some Rebel Bourbon. He also has zone pouches as well, in case you want to just give your body an entire tingle and feel pretty good about yourself. Then you have the Kroger boys over at RFK. They're probably the most logical ones, right? You can get just about anything out of Kroger. You got your private selection offerings there. You can get hams, turkeys, lunch meats if you want to. There's a whole bunch of things that you can get at Kroger. If you go to a fancy Kroger, they can make sandwiches there. They can make chicken for you. If you go to the poorer Krogers, well, then your offerings aren't great, but they do have 1 liter bottles of soda there, which is always an interesting and fun find if you are able to get to it. Then you have guys like Noah Gragson. He's got Long John Silver's, and finding an LJS in the wild that's actually open is like finding a Sears in the wild that's actually open. You're always like, oh my God, can't believe these things still exist. And then you quickly remember, I'm not going to go into that there. Sorry, Bob Jenkins, but the last time I ate a Long John Silver's, I'm pretty sure I just squeezed it and just dripped grease everywhere. But it is Lent, so might have to think about that for, well, tonight actually, because it's Friday. And I'm not a practicing Catholic, but it just sounded good in the moment to say that I was going to consider doing that. On the other side of things, you can kind of stick with the FRM boys because it's just Yum brand, so you can kind of kick that around if you would like to. Really bad choices would probably be like Austin Cindric. I've never wanted to eat a Freightliner, but I guess you could. It might end pretty badly for you. Or tires. Never been interested in that. However, Menards does have a food selection area if you're into random like Chili's tortilla chips and some other stuff in there. Great candy selection, though, around the Halloween time. Fun fact, if you're ever interested in going there. They also offer sodas. Sprecher? I've never drank any of that. I don't like root beer, so that's not a shock to me. But Denny Hamlin, obviously he has some odd sponsors now, but none that are over the top AM, PM. Hey, you can get your breakfast sandwiches as well as some BP gasoline. I feel like Denny's would be over the top, way too fancy, though. He'd be trying to do things too much, and nobody would like it at that. Ross Chastain, that would be a good one because, well, you're kind of just going to get a lot of melon. Your appetizer is going to be melon. Your main course is going to be melon. Your first course is going to be melon. Your drink is probably going to be something melon infused. Honestly, Ross Chastain would be a great employee at Lumen. He loves a melon party, but you would have plenty of Busch beer to wash it all down with if you like Busch beer. Sticking with the Trackhouse boys, on the Daniel Suarez side of things, first off, he's from Mexico, so you know we're going to get really good Mexican food. I'm a huge fan of that. I think that he would absolutely have it imported or find somebody around that would have fantastic food. But you also have Tootsies, so you're going to get some alcohol as part of this as well. I don't drink that much, but hey, if you're into it, there's some offerings there for you. Then you have Chase Briscoe, and he's got that Bass Pro Shop sponsorship. And honestly, I think Johnny Morris would absolutely slap any type of meat down on the table. Pause. meat that you'll eat down on the table for you if you win the Daytona 500. You can get your steers, you can get pig, you can get anything you want, whether that be horse, rhino, elephant, giraffe, alligator, maybe even some kangaroo. I have had both alligator and kangaroo. Kangaroo, high in protein. It's not actually as bad as you might think it is. There. The 2311 boys of Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick, they have McDonald's. It's not going to be great, but it's recognizable. It's familiar. It's like an extended family member. You're not great, but I know you, so I guess I'll end up talking to you for a while. The Monster Boys of Ty Gibbs and Riley Herbst, you're probably going to get something a little bit interesting, but you're also going to walk away with an elevated heart rate, potentially even being a bit irregular there from all the caffeine that you've just ingested as well. So I think there's some good offerings there for the Cup Series of drivers that could potentially win and then have something positive to take out of it. Chase Elliott, of course, had Hooters, not anymore. We'll talk about that in a little bit here, but I've never wanted to have a Napa Auto Parts dinner before, or an Ally Financial dinner at that. So yeah, no, I think there's actually some pretty good offers here, but for the most part, let's just have non-sponsor related dinners on the IndyCar side of things. So that's where I think you could get kind of interesting. When Marcus Ericsson won his Indy 500, he had Husky chocolate on board. So at least you're getting some good chocolate out of this. I actually don't know if it's good or not because they're in hotel chains. So that might make me think that it's not good. But regardless, it's going to be fine. Dinners I don't want to have are like from the Brit driver. Sorry, you're putting baked beans on toast and having that for breakfast. Get out of here with that. Mushy peas. Ugh. No, we're not doing it. But there is, if you're just going to do fish and chips, I'll trust you on the fish and chips side of things. So Louis Foster, Cal Milot, if you want to win, I'm down for that. The Vegemite boys, nope, get out of here with that. Although I do think Scott McLaughlin and I think Will Power could probably put together a pretty good menu. Scott Dixon, just because I think his wife probably would put together the menu. All right, I could maybe be down with that. Pato Award, it's going to be absolute fire. Alex Palou, I feel like he's got a pretty good mix of different cultures that he could pull from, and I think it would be a pretty interesting menu on top of that. Colton Herta just feels very Americana, and it's going to be like all comfort foods that you'd absolutely want to have, so I'm down for that. Connor Daly, again, all Indiana stuff, so there's a good chance that like a fried pork tenderloin sandwich is just the main course. And again, sign me up for it. Give me an invitation now because I'll be there just to have one of those. On the other side of things, you have the boys from Sweden, that being Marcus Ericsson and Felix Rosenqvist. Their country has really good restaurants. So if they want to like kind of import some things, I'm down. Furthermore, if Christian Lundgaard wants to win the Indianapolis 500 or import things from Noma, I'm 100% down for that as well. So I think it's something that should happen every single year. I noticed at the Indianapolis 500, they started handing out jackets. The Daytona 500 should do that, but not leather ones, like actual dinner jackets, and then host a big event like this because winning this race should matter. It should be a bigger deal than it is already, and I would like to see just another tradition get introduced and it to carry on. Real quick to end the show here, we'll talk about Hooters, who has paid Hendrick Motorsports $900,000 for their breach of contract in 2024 when they didn't want to finish paying out the deal that they had signed, which was 3 races for $1.75 million on that number 9 car of Chase Elliott. Ultimately, Hendrick ended up not putting them on the car because, well, they didn't get paid. Hendrick wanted $1.7 million payment to them. That includes interest. And instead, they got $900,000 here because I guess the Gen Zers and millennials finally put Hooters out of business, or at least made them file for bankruptcy because the views are bad, the food's bad, and nobody wants to go anymore. So you won't be seeing that Hooters branding on any of the Chase Elliott stuff any longer, but they kind of got the last laugh because the last win that Chase Elliott got, Texas Motor Speedway last year, he had Hooters on board for that. So at least they went to victory lane last year, and they could have used it in the marketing. Not anymore, but they could have at that point. But hey, Hooters, it's probably out of NASCAR forever, if we're being honest here. But they gave us some pretty good paint schemes. Some of the Chase Elliott ones were, all right, fine. But the Alan Kawicki ones will live on forever. And then, moving on from the Hooters thing, the CW announced that their booth this weekend for the NASCAR Xfinity Series race at Homestead will be calling it remotely. I know, I can hear the boos and the sighs now, and everybody being massively disappointed because we've seen this happen before on the Fox side of things, and it's bad. However, we've seen it be done in Formula One, and it actually wasn't that bad. So I'm going to reserve judgment for now. I'm going to let the CW run its course on Saturday, and I'll judge it as it happens and as it goes on there. They wouldn't say how many races will be called remotely this year from the new NASCAR production facility in Concord, a little bit outside of Charlotte there. It's a very nice facility, very big facility, and they'll be using what they refer to as an extended reality screen as part of their coverage. And the photo I saw was probably just because it was a photo. It looked weird. I'm hoping it's not weird. I'm hoping that it looks really good on the broadcast. So I will reserve judgment on the remote broadcast until I see what it is actually like, because I'm holding out hope that it's going to be better than what Fox does, because, well, everything the CW and NASCAR Productions has done so far is exponentially better than what Fox has done. So I have some hope that it's not going to be terrible. So we'll have to wait and see here. But I know that's been a sticking point with a lot of fans. Don't come at me. I'm just the messenger in this situation. However, I'm not going to be critical of it because I haven't seen it yet. So when we do see it, if it's great, I'll say it's great. If it's bad, I'll be like, hey, they got to improve on this because there's clearly something missing here. So either way, it's going to be odd, but I'm willing to give it a shot. So let me know in the comments what you think about, having a dinner for the Daytona 500 and Indy 500 winners, Hendrick Motorsports finally getting money from Hooters, and the CW booth calling races remotely this weekend. Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on TikTok @BreakHard, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook @BreakHard.